Good, whatever time of the day it is you happen to be listening. This is the PNA Podcast Express Special Edition. They're all kind of special, I guess, aren't they, Phil?
If it were any more special...
Oh, you're quiet.
If it were any more special, they'd put us in the Special Olympics.
Yeah, which we might already be there. I'm Adam Filkins. As always, with me is Phil Nickel. You can email us at pineapplenipplearsehole@gmail.com or pnapodcastexpress@gmail.com. Both Gmail addresses, oddly enough, not utilized enough by the people who listen. So,
not a sponsor either.
No, Gmail is not a sponsor.
They hold our notes ransom a lot too, I feel like, and because I feel like we should be getting a lot more emails than we currently do. I mean, I've had a dozen people say, I emailed the show.
Are they filtering us?
They could be.
They could be.
Maybe.
I think that's entirely possible.
It's more than entirely possible.
Yeah. So we're gonna kind of start this off on a low note. Phil and I both lost a very good friend yesterday, and a large part of this episode will be therapy for us.
Yeah.
Working through that. So, Maddog, Mark Dimon, I know you're probably going to listen to this and grimace a lot through it, but I hope you enjoy it anyways. And we're definitely going to miss him, but we'll definitely be doing some things in his honor for sure.
The really tough part for me is I really wanted him to be at the 100th episode. And I said this to somebody. I had this conversation because I've been talking a lot about it.
We discussed that actually quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm really proud of this podcast, and he enjoyed it, and I wanted him to be part of it. So that's the bottom line. And in some ways, he is now, so it's good.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's going to be on this episode with us, I'm sure, and we will have countless stories to tell.
Some funny, some risque, some not so funny.
Some probably that should never be told, but
some stories that should have landed us in prison.
Oh yeah, I am so glad that during the majority of our shenanigans, there were no camera phones.
Right.
I mean, I had a cell phone.
Right.
But it was like a gigantic block of cheese.
When you dropped it on the pavement, it cracked the pavement.
Yeah, you did not have to worry about cracking the screen because it was a 10-digit alphanumeric screen that was indestructible. So
just totally indestructible. I also did an inventory today of all the stories I've ever told that my friend is a dick and here's why. In about 5 of them, Maddog was the dick.
Yeah, and he could take that whole segment.
Yeah, we could actually just say Maddog's a dick and here's why, probably, yeah. and made it a running thing for probably at least 200 to 400 episodes, I would think.
But I got together last night with a couple friends of Mark's and mutual friends, and we had a few beers, and the overwhelming thing that we came up with was, man, he was our ass. He was an ass, but he was our ass. And wouldn't have traded him for the world.
He's exactly what we needed he's exactly what we didn't want, but what we needed a lot of times. That's what I've thought about a lot. Like, he would come up with some of the most weirdest, like, his takes on things would be so crazy sometimes. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? He'd be like, just how I feel. All right, well, if that's how you feel, then go ahead. I mean, I'm not going to debate you whether you're right or wrong, but...
Well, we had a discussion with the guys last night, and I was talking to one of them this morning about, pallbearers for him, and I said, he'd just be like, I'll fucking do it myself. Don't get anybody, I'll just fucking do it myself.
My fucking self. So, that's the type he was. He was like that all the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a strange place, this world, without him.
It's weird. It's weird, and I've reminisced a lot, and he was the person that was there for, like, everything, literally, back in the day. Like, from like, 1996 through 2005 for me. Like, everything that happened, he was there.
Well, and the one thing I realized in talking with everybody is if Maddog was a part of your life, he was a big part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't somebody that you just casually knew.
No.
No.
He was... You don't get... There was nothing topical about Maddog at all.
No. And he was probably going to piss you off as much as anything, but you instantly forgave him if he did. And he didn't care one way or the other.
No, he really didn't. He really
didn't have to forgive you.
He didn't give a fuck. But the thing that I loved about him is the other thing that made him so great is he's just fiercely loyal to his friends, though, no matter what. Like, if he heard somebody talking shit about you and you weren't there, he'd fucking stand up for you in a heartbeat. I know that.
So, I have a Mad Dog's a Dick and Here's Why story.
Go on.
So, we were broadcasting a game, and it was an 8-man game. And he was kind of anti-8-man football.
Of course he was.
And we were doing the game, and at halftime, halftime took forever. It was like 8:45 when we got to the half.
That's bullshit. I've done those games before.
And he's just like, this is terrible. This is just terrible football. It's not even football. And I'm like, dude, you got to calm down. We're in a booth of a school that does 8-man football. They don't want to hear that. So I kind of jumped on him a little bit about him, like, we can't be like that. He's like, fine, I won't be. I did the rest of the game by myself.
He did not say another word, did he?
He didn't say another word the whole game, except for every time I go to commercial and be like, this is fucking bullshit. We shouldn't be doing these games. It's not football.
You could be like, so what do you think about that, Mark? Crickets.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
and
tough.
he was doing the color commentary, so I'm like, run up the left side, good for about 6 yards.
Crickets.
All right, thanks for that, Mark.
That's perfect. That's perfect, though.
So I actually called him out after like 2 breaks.
Right.
I'm like, you're not going to say anything the rest of the night? You're not going to be on the broadcast? He's like, well, it's not you.
It's not you.
I'm like, what do you mean it's not me?
It's not you.
Goes, well, I'm not saying anything because of you. I'm saying anything because this is bullshit. It's not even football.
Oh, that's great. That's fucking great.
So I've got another great story I got to tell. So we were playing out at Tuscola Joe's back in the Dread Trip days. And he had hired this new waitress that Mark really took a shine to.
Of course.
So he was up talking to us, talking to her, and he walked away. And so we're like, yeah, that's our roadie. He's special.
He's special.
And she's like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, he's kind of special. Be nice to him.
Be nice to him, and be prepared for him to order the dinosaur nuggets off the menu.
Yeah. So she's like, what's everybody want to drink? And he's like, I'll take a Bud Light or whatever beer he ordered at the time. And she looks at the rest of us. She goes, can he drink? And we're like, oh, yeah.
Drink?
He can drink. He can drink. So, he's kind of like, what the hell was all that about? And I'm like, oh, she must not have thought you were 21. And so
she thinks you're special.
Towards the end of the night, he goes, I think that chick's kind of into me, but she's being really weird. He goes, she's like over the top nice to me, just being really weird.
But whenever I make a sexual advance, she really shirks and shuns away. Oh, fuck.
So, yeah, we let that go on the entire night. And into the next night, because that was a Friday. So it was like Saturday when we were playing that we clued her in that he's not really special.
There's nothing special about him.
So that was pretty great.
Oh, my God.
Can he drink? Yeah, he can drink.
What the fuck does that mean? Because Maddog would have said it like that, too. What the fuck was that about?
Yeah. Oh, he was just like, what the hell? I'm like, oh, she must think you're too young.
She must think you're too young. He should have, it hasn't been, instead of, yeah, he should have said, it hasn't been interfering with his meds lately.
I thought about that. I was going to throw something out there about, well, his medications he's on now.
We've got that straightened out.
Yeah.
Before he was pissing in the corner and Oh, wait, that's our other friend.
Yeah, that's our other dick friend.
I can't believe Maddog's gone, that's for sure.
No, me
One
either.
of a kind. One of a kind.
For sure. And just, like you say, he was just there for everything.
And I had not a falling out, but I was upset because in retrospect, I understand now, and I know he was doing it because he missed me. But when I moved to Seattle, he would call me fucking late at night, like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, midnight, 1 o'clock. This is even after, my kids were just young. I was married, and my ex-wife would just be so pissy. It would cause fights, because he would just call over and over and leave voicemails, and if I, where the fuck are you, man? What the fuck? And I'd be like, I'm trying to live my own life here. And it caused a lot of tension in my marriage, a ton. And it was just because he missed me, though, so I respect that. It was because he wanted me there with the good times to hang out again. And so the first time I saw him after I moved back from Seattle, I remember it very vividly. He walked up to me and I punched him in the face. I did. I knocked him down, too. And he's holding his jaw. He's like, oh, what the fuck was that for? And I said, you know what that's for. Then I helped him up and we drank the rest of the night. But still, I heard from his brother and I heard from her, what the fuck did you punch him for? I'm like, I don't know, just the natural reaction when I saw him.
It wasn't the first time he'd received that greeting from someone, I'm sure.
No, and it was just because it was all that pent up. And I was going through my divorce at the time. My grandfather had just passed away. That's when I spent about 6 months there just living like no human should ever live. Just, just alcohol-fueled rage, basically.
Yeah.
So I got through it, and really, I saw Mark. I saw him maybe 3 or 4 times since then, and they were all good. The one wasn't so good. It was over at Darren Bay's house, and I don't know what his problem was that night, but he just was acting like he did during that radio broadcast, just giving me the sarcastic asshole answers and not telling me anything and just being a dick. And I'm just like, all right, fuck you then. I remember saying that to him.
Well, you couldn't know Mark and not have some sort of episode with him like that.
That's 100% right.
I can't think of anybody that doesn't sit there and go, well, yeah, Mark and I this one time,
right.
It was just, that was part of knowing Mark.
Right.
And, but, the good outweighed the bad.
Oh, by far. And then one of the other ones that, since I moved home, is I stopped at his house. And we sat in his little side yard there, and the mosquitoes were horrible. But he pulled out all the old... he's kind of our historian for our group. He pulled out all the pictures and everything, and we started talking about it, and just going down memory lane, and it was fucking fantastic,
Yeah. Oh, the Stan Thompson books, all the pictures. I mean, Mary's got a ton of pictures, too, of the...
Right.
That era.
Yeah, of that era. Because let me tell you, we were all, young, early 20s, and we were doing what college kids in early 20s do. We were just fucking having a good time enjoying life,
Yeah.
And times were a lot different then than they are now.
Well, there was not near as much to worry about.
We had no worries, man. Are you kidding? Our problems were so small, it was ridiculous. I think back to being stressed out when I was 22, and I'm like, oh, you fool.
Yeah, it a total different vibe to everything like that.
Good for right now, Lyndon. Thank you, buddy.
So, and...
But Maddog was the... I would like to put the over-under on amount of weddings he was in, 22, I bet. He was in everybody's fucking wedding.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah. And he was, like you say, he was our historian, but he was also our facilitator.
Yeah.
You could call Maddog up and be like, what's going on tonight? And he knew.
Oh, yeah.
There was... You didn't have to call anybody else, and he never gave you the... I don't know. I'm just going to stay in tonight.
No.
Because that was not an option.
Let's fucking roll.
Yeah. And 9 times out of 10, you didn't have to call him because he was calling everybody else going, all right, this is where the party's at tonight. This is what we're doing.
He loved that role, and he relished that so much. I think the happiest and the most... most enjoyment I remember him getting out of his own life was when we were doing all the stuff out at Bob's Barn.
Oh, yeah.
He loved that because he ran the place, and he was not ashamed to let you know that this is my party, this is my... And of course, Bob is such a pushover that Bob just be like, okay.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I spent most of the night in my bachelor party at Bob's Barn. Mary probably doesn't even know that, but Mickey and I went out there and just we got a hold of Maddog. What's going on tonight? We're looking for something to do. Oh, we're going to be out at Bob's. All right, it's less than a mile away from home. Sounds good. And Bob was barbecuing shrimp.
Yeah. Oh God.
So it was a good night.
The shrimp, he had this marinade he had him in, and he'd throw them on the grill, and he'd be like, they can only be on there for about a minute and a half. That's all you need, and they just melt in your mouth.
Yeah.
I would drown a midget right now for some of those shrimp.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would club a baby seal.
Yeah. That's 100% true. But he was those were his happiest times that I remember, Maddog. One of the big turns in his life, of course, when his father passed away, was really tough on him.
Yeah.
He wasn't the same for a long time after that.
No. No, and it just his dad played a pretty big role in his life.
He did.
And very close family.
And
so
I love how his dad. One of my favorite stories Maddog told me was, it might have been April Fool's or it was whatever day, and we called into Swap Shop just fucking around. And I disguised, done my weird voice or something. And his dad's sight was never ever good, but his hearing was great. He's like, "That's Phil Nickel on the phone." And Maddog tells me that story. He's like, and then he's like, I listen. I'm like, yep, that's got to be Phil. Then I gave him Stoliker's phone number.
Well, I was going to say that evolved to where all of us were doing that.
Right.
And one of my favorite ones was Maddog calls in, and in his Stan Thompson voice. And,
yeah, it's Stan Thompson.
I've got a trunk full of monkeys. I'll be at Tractor Supply.
Yeah.
If you need a monkey, I'm your guy. And he had this whole spiel, and then he gives Stoliker's number.
We always gave Stoliker's number. Is his number still, what, at 404-3160, I think it is?
Yeah.
It is. I didn't give the area code with it, but you can figure it out if you're a sleuth.
So that's actually not it, but...
Oh, it isn't?
No.
Is it 3164?
You're really close.
3166.
No.
Oh. 3162?
No.
Oh, there's not many other combinations.
Your first number is wrong.
Oh.
But you were pretty close.
Yeah.
But anyways,
that was just out of memory. I haven't. And this is years ago.
A few minutes later, Riley Chapin calls in.
I got these sleds and sauces.
Well, that day it was shovels of assorted sizes.
So see, I had pitchforks and wheelbarrows when I called. I got pitchforks and wheelbarrows. I got about 23 pitchforks and 17 wheelbarrows. I wish I had a pitchfork for every barrel, but I don't.
All this stuff that you get the milk from Stan Thompson.
Oh yeah, Finger Hut catalogs galore.
Well, so many coupons and checks for $2.30 to reimburse for something.
You know how many free tacos we got from Taco Bell back in the day? Every time somebody got a new address, you're getting a free taco. Because all you had to do was call Taco Bell cares and bitch. And they'd send you, we'll send you a voucher for free tacos. That was our housewarming gift for a lot of people as they changed addresses. And Maddog and I would call Taco Bell.
So Riley calls Anheuser-Busch one time.
Oh, we got a lot of shit from them.
And he talked them into sending because he was really pissed about, he opened a case of beer and the very first can had some kind of debris in it. And he was just pissed. It could have been a mouse. Could be a mouse.
Hey, there's a mouse in my beer, eh?
And so they're like, oh, well, sir, we'd like to make this right by you. He's like, well, if you want to make it right, I need my wife needs a Budweiser bikini. So they sent him one. And then he calls them bitches because he's like, it's too small. I said my wife, not my daughter.
I told you I was calling from the trailer park. Can you send me that size?
So they sent him another.
Of course. We got T-shirts galore from them. I remember
T-shirts
that.
And there are so many uncashed checks. Like I say, some of them were actually decent amounts.
It was like $18.
But they were for Stan Thompson. There's probably $1,000 worth of checks in that damn album.
Stan Thompson is on the books for like $1,000 from Anheuser-Busch. They're like, Stan Thompson never cashed his checks.
Hi, this is Stan Thompson. I bought a box of Kleenex, and there was a giant stick in the middle of it. I don't think you processed that one right.
I bought a roll of toilet paper, and it was just bark.
So Riley did call one time. He called Little Debbie, and he's like, I bought a box of oatmeal cream pies, and there was one of unusually large size inside, and I didn't think it was safe to eat. Well, was it just flattened out? Did it get smushed? No, it's just huge. Yeah, I think it was folded.
See, that's hilarious. It's an unusually large size, so I didn't eat it. This is the late 90s and early 2000s in a nutshell. Right there. We had nothing better to do than call these. Do you remember? Oh, one of my favorite things to do with Maddog. He and I'd like to say I came up with it, but it was collaboration. We play 1-800 roulette. We just dial 1-800, then a number, and just talk to whomever on the other end. Remember doing that?
Uh-huh.
And we talked to this lady whose husband was a firefighter in California for like an hour. And finally, I'm like, why do you have a 1-8? She's like, so my husband can call toll-free because he travels throughout the United States. Really nice lady. And we really didn't fuck with her a lot, but it was just an awesome perspective. But most of the time, we just call and fuck with these people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we called a lot of different places. One time I just randomly ran across, it was 1-800-4-SEGA. And I didn't know that when I called, but it was Sonic the Hedgehog that answered the phone.
I remember this one.
So then from there on out, I would forward people's phones to that number.
Yes.
So that when people would call them, it would go to that.
I remember you doing that. Hey, can I borrow your phone, Adam would say, and you're like, yeah, sure, because back then we were so trusty. We didn't have smartphones.
No. God, phones were just as dumb as the ones that hung on the wall in your house.
That's right. But and Adam, being the IT and tech savvy guy, would be able to forward your incoming calls to fucking Sega.
And then when somebody would finally see you, why does every time I call your phone it go to Sega? And I'd just sit there and laugh.
Well, remember
that was the kind of shit that entertained us back
then. Well, you remember, I think you and Maddog were part of it. Stoliker, you either got his password for his email or he left it open or something, so you changed his signature to say that I need to tell everybody something, I'm gay or something like that.
That was,
and he sent out hundreds of emails like that.
That was Maddog and Haas.
Yeah. I've got to be honest with everybody. I can no longer be someone I'm not.
Oddly enough, still his email signature.
StylesZ34@hotmail.com. Remember that one?
Yes.
Why do I remember this shit?
Oh, because we didn't have to remember much back then.
No.
So stupid shit would stick in your head.
And anytime anybody had an email sign up, I'd sign up StylesZ34@hotmail.com.
So when I had my store,
he got spammed so much, I bet.
I'd walk into my store, I'd go out and I'd be delivering computers and stuff, and I'd walk into my store and there'd be Riley, Maddog, Haas, and Stolly in there. And I had told Haas, I'm like, because this was back in the Dread Trip days, I'm like, I need a CD replicator. He's like, oh, I can make one.
I can just make one. This is how Haas is. I can just make one.
So he's back there just burning CDs off. I'm like, are those all Dread Trip CDs? No. Game.
True, it's fucking true.
Just no game.
And that's as much. The guy is one of the obvious of our group. I'm not ashamed to say Haas is by far and away the smartest when it comes to knowledge wise.
And the weirdest
he's a man
things.
of few words though. No game.
Yeah, no game. I remember in the paper they went over and it was like Haas and Brad Bays and a few other guys that were on the programming team that went over to Saginaw Valley for the competition over there.
Yeah.
And it was basically Haas that would do everything.
Yes.
But there's pictures of him in the paper, and he had that big tuft out the front of his head.
Yes, he did.
And he'd be typing on the computer, but when he'd see somebody taking his picture, he'd turn his head real weird and look at the camera, but still typing away. And Bays told me, he's like, it was the weirdest thing, because Dale Ball was there one time, taking pictures.
Right.
Over at Saginaw Valley.
Birth of esports.
And he was trying to get a decent picture of Haas, and Haas just would not let him get a decent picture. And he goes, we still won the competition with Haas the whole time trying to just fuck with Dale Ball.
To take a terrible picture.
Yeah. So he goes, nobody else touched the keyboard. Nobody else touched a single keyboard. He goes, all the other teams are looking at us and laughing like, oh, those guys are going to lose.
And then Haas just killed them all.
And he goes, and Haas just destroyed every one of them.
So one of my favorite memories, too, when you had your store, the one night we stopped by, and Haas, there was just a bunch of empty fucking beer cans. And apparently he had been up for 37 straight hours. And it was Maddog and I, and he says to Maddog, he just says, Krabby Raccoon. And I'm like, What the fuck is Krabby Raccoon? And Maddog knew how to speak Haas at the time.
Yeah, yep.
So Maddog says he wants Crab Rangoon from the Chinese place.
Yep.
So I'm like, Krabby Raccoon. Okay, so we call the Chinese place. Get him. Like, how many orders do you want, Haas? 5. Do you have any money? No. I'll cover this one. Okay. So we get 5 orders of Krabby Raccoon, Crab Meat Rangoon, and he sits there and just fucking mouths this food. And we're all of a sudden we're talking, and he's just eating, and all of a sudden Maddog and I go, like, we walk out and walk back in. He's just fucking sacked out, passed out on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
Just out. He filled his belly. He was drunk on a 37-hour, and he'd been working that whole time, though. So this 37 hours weren't just him drinking. They were him working on computers the whole time.
Well, and this is the funny part.
And he just passed out. He was out. He was dead to the world.
I said to Haas one time, I'm like, do you want to come up and do some work for me? Yeah. All right, well, what do you want? I don't know. And then I would get an order in, and there'd be stuff on there that I'd be like, well, I didn't order this. This is pretty high end. He's like, that's for me. You don't have to pay me.
Yeah. You don't have to pay me.
You don't have to pay me this week.
But I love how he just housed that, like, 4... It was 4 orders, actually, now that... 4 orders of Krabby Raccoon, Crab Meat Rangoon, and just fucking passed out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he slept on the floor more in that place than
Yeah.
he probably slept at home. But he loved it because it was all computer stuff everywhere.
Yeah, and Maddog and I are like, well, I guess we should probably leave now. And then we got the video camera out and, of course, did some man-on-the-street shit like we always did.
Yeah.
So, I hope he has those... I hope he has those VHS tapes somewhere. I asked him about them because we filmed such classics as Every Which Way But in a Corvair. I'm not lying. It was Lance and Maddog and I did Every Which Way But in a Corvair. It was about an hour of us just doing nothing, sitting in his garage in his dad's busted ass old Corvair. There's a deer like one of those foam deer targets sitting in the back dash of the with wrapped in Christmas lights. And it's us talking in a Yooper accent the whole time. Every which way but in a Corvair, yes.
So I'm wondering, Maddog may have the Life After Midnight Chronicles.
And that was our man on the street stuff. Yeah, we'd go out and we'd tape for hours of just shit of us fucking around.
The best ever was Mike Lacey in the back of in a bathtub we were dragging behind my Plymouth Sundance.
Life After Midnight.
And it had a little, like, 1.25-inch hitch on it.
Yeah.
We would loop the rope through that so you didn't have to, like, totally hold onto it with your hands. But you could quick release it, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if somebody was coming, we could just let go of it and get out of there. And so Mike Lacey one night, we're dragging this bathtub. It's me, him, and Haas. And he's like, I'll ride in it if you got a helmet. and, of course, I had a helmet. A baseball helmet.
Yes.
So
yes.
I hand it to him, and he's like, does this count? Haas like, oh, yeah, it counts. And at that point, what are you going to do? Because if you don't get in the tub, Haas is going to put you in it.
You're not going to argue with it. By the way, and we've mentioned it before, Haas also 6'3", 6'4", all of 300 pounds, but not a fat 300 pounds.
No, a weightlifting 300 pounds.
Yes.
And so Mike got in there, and Haas is in the back holding the rope, and I'm driving. I can hear Mike just yelling, right? I'm like, what's he saying? Haas is like, go faster.
That's not what he was saying.
So we finally stop, and I'm like, he's like, oh, you assholes. I'm like, why? What? He goes, I've been yelling the whole time. I'm like, you weren't saying go faster? He's like, no. I'm like, stop, you bastards.
And Haas says, go faster.
Go faster. And that's exactly, Haas is like, I guess I didn't hear you.
Oh.
But he said that through the drain hole in the front, like, sparks were shooting up at him and rocks and shit. And the bottom was getting hot.
Of course it's going to get hot. It's called friction, folks.
Yeah. So, and we probably drug him 3-4 miles at about between 35 and 40 miles an hour.
Jesus.
That had to be scary as shit. And, I look back on it now and I think, wow, he'd have died.
He's lucky he's still alive. That's amazing. And this is what we used to do. Oh, just Haas. Fuck that guy.
But yeah, Dog would go out with us every now and then on Life After Midnight type of
right excursions,
type of events. And
I hope and I know it's on VHS because that's what we had back then. But I hope those tapes are somewhere.
We have to get a VHS player.
Yeah.
And go somewhere and watch all of those.
Let's do it.
That would be awesome.
I know he's got them somewhere. I know Mark's got them somewhere. Mark, if there's one thing about Mark, if it had value to him, which I know those tapes did, and all those photos did, they were never. You were never going to get those away from him because he loved those things so much.
No. And I hope that. I hope that Rick and his mom realize the value that those have to the rest of us.
Right.
And I'm sure they will, because Mark was not secretive about the stupid shit we used to do.
Oh, no, not at all.
And how it was, it was very sacred to him. So
he was a mad dog. He was our mad dog, man. He was, oh, fuck. What a guy.
Yeah. So, well, since we both have some beer.
Cheers. To Mad Dog. Fucking A. Cheers. Love you and miss you, buddy.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be a different world moving forward without him. It's.
I'd hoped, and I'd hoped this podcast was a long ways off, but here it is. So,
yeah, I did not expect that call. I'll be honest. I half expected him to outlive me, just because he was Mad Dog and too pissed off to have anything happen.
Just out of spite.
Yeah.
I told Mad Dog that he was going to die long before me, so he outlived me just out of spite.
Yeah. Just to prove you wrong.
Just to prove you wrong. And how fitting, and we've talked about this. It's Monday, full disclosure. This is our Tuesday episode, and the Green Bay Packers, his favorite team ever, play the fucking Lions on Monday Night Football tonight.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to root for the Packers.
It really.
Seeing as how
I love how much he hates Aaron Rodgers so much.
Oh, God, yeah.
He's a huge Packers fan and fucking hates Aaron Rodgers.
Especially, honestly, one of the last texts that I got from him was about Aaron Rodgers sucking. So, he it was last week, and he was grousing about the
performance. Yeah.
Fucking Rodgers doesn't even care. Well, no, he's a multi-millionaire.
He looks like he's a hobo now, too, with his hairdo. And
have you seen the picture of him and Tom Brady next to each other? It's
I know.
Like Aaron Rodgers is 7 years younger than Tom Brady or something like that.
Younger than Tom Brady.
And he looks like an old hobo.
What else? We were just... Go ahead. Whatever you're going to do.
Just because I hadn't played anything tonight.
Another favorite night was Mark and I were just bored, and we're like, hey, Sandusky High School was probably only 2 years old at the time, that building, maybe 3.
Yep.
We're like, let's go break in. So we broke into the high school. We're just fucking running all around. We got into the gym, and like they have those corners of the gym where they keep equipment up top, but there's those cinder block walls that only go up like 8 feet.
Yeah.
So he hoisted me up over one of those fuckers, and I opened the door, and we just, I don't know, stealing's wrong, kids, but we got out of there with a little bit of equipment. I mean, nothing substantial, but it's fun. There were like some practice jerseys and some other shit like that. So,
well, it was funny at one time because we store some wrestling equipment for our tournament up there.
Yeah.
And at one point I had a master key, but they took all the coaches' master keys away when there was a break-in at the elementary school.
Right.
And even though it wasn't any of the coaches that did anything, it was bingo. They left a back door open for the smokers, and they left it open, and that's how the kids got in. So they took everybody's keys away. So I didn't have a key for that room anymore. We store our stuff. But they asked me, like, you got a key? I'm like, yeah. And I just told one of the kids, I'm like, jump over the wall.
Yeah, just jump over the wall.
And they saw that, and they're like, I thought you said you had a key. I'm like, I do.
I do. It's called the kid I can jump over the wall.
Yeah, he's a junior.
That's right. He's a junior. What else? Oh, CB culture. Mad Dog loved his fucking CB culture. Remember that? Oh, he was big on those CBs for so long.
That was one of the favorite portions of my life growing up. Because, we all had those before cell phones were at all big.
Yeah, no.
I don't know if I think I had my cell phone, but it had like 20 minutes on it.
I think only one out of every 3 cell phones at that time was not a bag phone.
Right. My first cell phone was not a bag phone.
Nice.
Which was, but it was a Nokia that, like I say, was like a block of cheese. It was bigger than our recording thing. It was like this big, and it had a full antenna that like cranked out on it. So if I held it in my car, I had to hold it at a weird angle so
the antenna could work?
So it didn't hit the roof.
Oh, so it didn't hit the roof. You're like, go for Dickie.
Yeah. But the CBs, you had Maddog, you had F-Series, we had so
Arn.
many people with...
what, Seagull was...
Yeah.
Yeah.
there were so many people that had... What was your handle?
Big Willie. Big Willie.
I was X-Man.
I did not give myself that moniker, by the way. That was from Maddog, actually.
Oh, wow.
Because he called me Big Willie style for a long time there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was his. So I'm like, what is my handle going to be? He's like, Big Willie. I'm like, all right. I mean, it's false advertising, but that's okay.
So we had a lot of fun with those. You remember playing cat and mouse with those?
I do. Going in hiding
so
places and
and then you watch your meter. And I remember I didn't have a CB with a meter when I first got into it. There was a guy in Emily City that sold shit out of his garage.
Right. Oh, that's the best shit.
And so I went there, and he had like a really good Cobra, 129 or whatever it was, or 29, 40 channel, and he had an amplifier. So I had an amplifier, and I had an antenna on my S10 pickup.
Yep. That
was bigger than the S10. If I took a turn too fast, it was going to topple it over.
You're like, whoa!
But I also had a 160 watt antenna. And I would talk to people in Canada.
You had to check in with the FCC.
Yeah. When I'd key up planes and crash to the ground that were above me.
Breaker 19.
So then I had to go back over to Garage Guy, and I had to buy an attenuator because when I was in town, I could turn the preamp on my amplifier off.
Yeah.
But when I was in town, anybody that keyed up was full signal to me.
Right.
So I had to buy an attenuator so that I could turn the signal down. So I had this little knob on my dash that I could turn down, and it would lower the amount of signal that it would pull in. And
that's fantastic.
And so I had that so that I could play cat and mouse because I couldn't play it for a while. I was just blindly driving around, but that attenuator worked great. It was a huge advantage.
Think about everything we just said, and think about how many people actually understand what you just said about the CB culture and everything. I know fully what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But I bet you if you're under the age of, 60 or was never a trucker, you have no idea. It's CBs, it's just something that caught on like wildfire for us in Sandusky, and that's what everybody would do.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was more than just Sandusky. You got on Port Huron, there was a lot of traffic. There was a lot of people on CBs then.
Yeah.
Just because it was free. Cell phones had just come out and were getting popular, and people were like, well, I want something free. I'm going to go to CB.
Or no one would talk on their cell phone until 9 o'clock because it was free after 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
What the fucking racket was that? Cell phones are still a huge racket, don't get me wrong. But back then, it cost so much money. I remember my dad, gave me a cell phone and said only use it for emergencies. And I never used it. It sat in my car all the time. And one night, I don't know, somebody got a hold of it, and they must have talked on it for probably 2 hours. I would say 2 hours.
Yeah.
My dad gets the bill. He's like, oh, fuck, the bill was $27 more last month. I'm like, holy fuck. Yeah.
Well, I think I paid $80 a month for 100 minutes.
Right.
On my first cell phone, and free after 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I remember when I got it, I told somebody, I have 100 minutes a month. How will you ever use that?
Right.
Because, Jesus, you could never talk in your car that much. I'm like, well, mine's portable. Well, what do you mean portable? Well, it's not in a bag. It has a battery. I can, walk around with it. So you could be at the fair and be on your cell phone. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
No.
How does that even work? Where's the antenna? I'm like, it's built into the phone.
No. Who the fuck is Nokia, and what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah. Is that witchcraft? I almost got burned.
Sorcery.
I almost got burned at the stake because of my first...
I know. Where are you... Wait a second. Where are you calling me from? I'm calling you from the Tilt-A-Whirl.
Can't you hear they're playing Pearl Jam?
That's right. No, it's Paradise City by Guns N' Roses. Yeah, they're playing Pearl Jam.
I only remember that because I was on the Scrambler, and every time I rode the Scrambler one year, it seemed like they had even flow.
It was even flow.
Yeah.
I fell in love at the fair one year. And it was weird because it's the summer that they played like that How Bizarre song over and over and over and over again. So now I get a weird erection every time I hear that song.
Huh.
Because she was hot. She was way out of my league. But to be fair, most women are. But anyway.
Probably most guys, too.
Oh, yeah. The fair. What was
Sonic Boom!
Sonic Boom!
This is a retro video game soundboard.
Oh, very nice.
Hadouken!
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 Hadouken! So that were good times. There were a lot of good times. Oh, Maddog loved Indie Nickel too. He would race. The thing he would do is he had a whole string of very, very shitty vehicles because that's just what Maddog's synonymous with. Remember the dog sled?
Yeah.
He was synonymous with having shitty vehicles. So I had a quarter-mile racetrack at my mother's house. It was just an oval in a field is all it is. Don't think I fancy.
Oh, I remember that.
Don't think I fancy or anything.
We brought the lawnmower over to run
That's
it
right.
one time.
We would race everything on it, but Mad Dog's big shtick would be like, hey, I left something in your car. Can I borrow your keys? Next thing you know, he's out on the fucking racetrack with your fucking car. He did that to me like 4 times, and I'm like, well, you would have think I would have learned by now.
Do you remember the blue lawnmower we tried to soup up in my garage?
Yes.
And we painted it. We took all this painstaking. We brought it out to your place, and it ran like a lap and a half before it died. Blew the transmission out of it because, oddly enough, when you have people that happen to know how to soup up an engine but aren't smart enough to soup up the transmission, you kind of blow the transmission out of the thing.
And that's when he blew a tranny.
Yes. I'm not sure what that was.
Uppercut! Uppercut!
Uppercut!
Oh, these are pretty good. I like these soundboards.
So, the one thing I guess I never realized, I know Mark loved music a lot, but
Yeah.
I was reading his obit, it said karaoke. I've never seen it. Was he big into karaoke?
Well, so I DJ'd his last few family reunions. He had me come out and DJ it, and I'd take a screen out, and we'd karaoke. And, yeah, he loved karaoke. When we were over in Kalamazoo, we went over for a fantasy baseball draft a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we went to a bar that had karaoke, and he'd get up there, and he was terrible at it, but he loved it.
That's not the Mad Dog I know, but I respect that because we all grow and venture out. So,
oh yeah, he absolutely loved it, and he just a couple weekends ago he was up doing family tradition with a bunch of his family at his
that's great
family reunion. So I mean, it.
I hope somebody has a video of that.
I'm sure. Yeah,
good.
Did you get video of that?
No, they got his uncle.
Oh yeah, his uncle was there taking video of and pictures of like
Good.
everything. So
Good. So if you can get a hold of that audio, we'll put it on our podcast.
that would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. So we actually a couple years ago we took the boys out with us, and Anthony who sang a lot at different places. He did a Stone Temple Pilots song and did a great job on it. Andrew did a Randy Newman "You Got a Friend in Me" song.
You got a friend
And
in me.
I got to see if I can find it real quick because it's pretty amazing actually.
So another thing that we were definitely into was retro gaming for a little while there with Mad Dog. So I had my old Atari and of course the NES system. And this was one of those odd nights where nothing was going on. We could not find anything to do. So we end up at his house or his mom's house, parents' house at the time. I think his dad was still alive. We're upstairs in his room just fucking gaming like fiends. We had a 30 pack. We had a dirty 30. And we're just drinking beer, and all of a sudden we're out of beer. the sun is coming up, and it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. And you know what he says to me? Hey, the Watertown, the party store opens at 7. Well, fuck it, man. We're staying up. So we stayed up until 7. And we went down and we raided the freezer because his mother always bought stuff off the Swan's truck. So we raided the freezer. And then we went there at 7, and the lady was opening. Like, she was literally unlocking the door as we were walking in. And we bought just a 12-pack. Because I said to Mark, I don't know. We probably only need a 12-pack. So we gamed some more, and we finishes up that 12-pack. And now it's about 10. We go back to the store, buy another 12-pack, because I'm like, 12 ought to do. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. We finish that up, and it's 1. We go back to the store. She refuses to sell to us. She's like, I've already sold you a case of beer, and it's only 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, well, we've been up all night, and we drank a 30-pack before that.
Probably could have went without those details to get served.
So I just remember and then going and sleeping, and we missed something epic that night, though, because I'm pretty sure we both crashed out and woke up at like midnight. And we're like, oh, fuck.
Jeez, oh, Pete. Yeah, there were several of those times with Dog.
Right. Just absurd. Here's the thing I loved about Maddog back in the day. You would hang with him, and something absurd it would be like I had a classic series of situations you should never have to explain yourself or ever be in. That was hanging out with Maddog, where you're like, how did you end up here? Holy fuck, it's a long story. Sit down and buckle up,
Oh, yeah. There was always absurdity involved.
Oh, so much absurdity.
I mean, just things that you would go, normal people don't end up in these situations, but here we are.
I remember him getting into a fight somewhere over a ham sandwich. And I'm like, what the fuck are you even doing right now? He's like, well, did fucking lady even fucking ham sandwich? I'm like, what? It was at like a fucking party or something, and he's bitching about... No, we were in Saginaw. And it was at like a Sigma Pi party, and somebody had a ham sandwich, and apparently he wanted one, and the guy said, go fuck yourself. So Mark took it upon himself to make sure that guy fucked himself.
Oh.
Because I think Mark grabbed his fucking ham sandwich and threw it on the ground and stomped on it.
Well, there you go.
He just wanted a fucking ham sandwich.
I'm going to play this real quick, because this is Andrew when he was like a sophomore at Mark's family reunion, doing, which, honestly, you go to their family reunion, and you're DJing there, and you're doing karaoke for them, and you feel like your family. They're,
of course,
just fantastic people.
That's another thing I always loved. And Rick, I miss you. I miss you so much. Like, we need to hang out. I never met people who, even though they didn't have a ton, they would give you everything no matter what. If you're family, if you're friends, you were always welcome at their house. I can't tell you how many times I was there, and just that reminds me of another story, but I'll tell that one. I got to depart a little bit from this line, because this is not a sappy story than the one I'm about to tell. But you always felt just you were home. They made sure that their home felt like your home, no matter what.
Well, and it's funny, because there's people that are at their family reunion that are not blood relatives.
Right.
That are Merv is one that doesn't miss one, because...
And you know how we met Merv? Through me, through college, because I went to Saginaw Valley with Merv,
Yep. And Merv is a bowler, correct?
No.
No?
I think he got into it, but Merv was just a dumbass I went to class with, and for some reason, and I can't explain this, and I'll never for the life of me understand it, but Merv was our dumbass at Saginaw Valley in engineering. But we loved him. We still loved him. But he was our dumbass. And for some reason, when him and Maddog, I remember one of the first times they ever met, those guys hit it off so well, and they became lifelong friends and great friends.
Yeah.
Like, I think he would, if you were able to ask Maddog today who his best friends are, Merv would be on the list, I feel like.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I would say so. But I'll play this real quick. This is Andrew doing Randy Newman.
Okay.
He's only, he's about to be a freshman here, I believe. It's uncanny, actually. It's absolutely uncanny. And Maddog about died laughing. We talked about it later, and he's like, I'm so glad he got up and did that.
Yeah, of course.
And it was funny because up until that point, there hadn't been a lot of people karaoke yet. And so I said to the boys, I'm like, you guys want to do something? Do something. And it was like everybody was holding back a little bit. Maddog and Rick had gotten up and done something, but like...
Just let it fly.
And then after that, everybody was like, yeah, fuck it. We can't... we can't let this kid outdo us.
Yeah, of course.
He did. I mean...
It was still the fucking best one of the night, but... And then he tried.
Yes. They did their thing.
So we were at Maddog's house, and for some reason what was going on in our lives then, I have no idea. We're degenerates. We all know that. But our hobby would be to take a dump at somebody's house and then not flush, just because it's an asshole move, right? So I have to go. I'm at Maddog's house, and I use the bathroom off the kitchen there. And I just unleash holy hell. And I go to flush, and it won't go down. So I come out of the bathroom with a big old smirk on my face, and Mark is like, what the fuck, man? Oh, don't tell me you didn't flush. I'm like, oh, I flushed. He's like, well, what are you fucking smirking about then? I'm like, I flushed, it just didn't go down. And he fucking goes to hit me, and I run out the back door. And we do the the
Benny Hill.
Yeah, the Benny Hill, like running around his yard as he's chasing me because he's pissed that I fucking clogged the toilet. He's like, there's a plunger sitting right beside it. I'm like, I figured you could take care of it.
You got it.
You didn't flush, did you, fucker? Yeah, I did. It just didn't go down. He was fucking pissed. I remember his dad yelling out, what are you guys doing? As we were running around the fucking yard over. Rick is like, bah, 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 just fucking chewing.
So, several years ago, Maddog came over with his carp shooting boat at night. And he took my mom out on it. And dear God, she was his favorite, or he was her favorite person forever after
really?
that. Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
That he thought that was, or she thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like,
yeah.
He had all the lights on it. They shot one, and she just thought that was the coolest thing ever.
See, that's great.
And so that was, it was funny because when we were younger, she didn't fully appreciate Maddog. Mm-hmm. It was like, oh, he's just real gruff and blah 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 blah.
Right.
And but then, like, as she got to know him, she absolutely loved Maddog. As parents do with a lot of friends, I think the first time they meet him, they're like,
right,
what the fuck was that?
Why the fuck is my kid hanging out with this fucker?
And then it was like, yeah, he's all right. And then when he took her out on the boat, he asked one time, he came over there and he asked him, he goes, can I bring my carp boat over sometime? And Mom's like, if you take me out on it. So he brought it over like that night. I was like, let's go. And she got on there with him and just, they trolled around the pond looking for carp, and him and Craig Rourke and her, and she just thought that was the greatest thing ever. I don't think he could have done any wrong in her eyes after that.
Yeah.
What's that?
The boys went out.
Yeah. He took my boys out there.
Yeah, it's fun. That's fun.
So,
and I mentioned to my mother yesterday about Maddog's passing, and she even had some interesting, stories and whatever, because he was, I mean, let's face it, we were all at each other's houses. We were all intertwined. I mean, we were a crew. I can't tell you how many nights he passed out at my mom's place. We'd have parties in the woods, and we'd all pass out and sack out there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it really is amazing when you look back on it that core group of friends that all hung out have still remained still remained friends, still remained in touch for the most part. I mean,
right.
Everybody has lapses where you don't talk to somebody for a while, but
right.
We were talking last night, and there was only a few people that we really needed to get a hold of, that because somebody's not in touch with them all the time.
Right.
So there was only a few people that we had to get in contact with because everybody else is in touch with them. And
I thought about this a lot last night, as I was tying one on too in Maddog's honor. I think I can say with about 90% certainty, if it weren't for Maddog, this podcast wouldn't be happening today, because I'm pretty sure he was the link that kind of like how you and I became friends way back when.
Definitely.
I'm pretty confident in that. That's the reason. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny. I was telling this story last night to Stolly and Pugsley. I'm like, Maddog and Rick rode my bus. I was older than both of them.
Right.
And Rick and I feuded like hell. We were one grade apart, and we just would...
That's what I love about Rick, though. Rick he's always up for a debate or a fight.
Oh, yeah. We would fight. And he'd always come down the aisle of the bus, and I always sat towards the back because my sister and my brothers were older than me, so I sat towards the back by them. And even after they were off the bus, I sat back there. And so he'd always come back, and he'd always want to sit with me, and I'd be like, no, there's already 2 people in the seat. You're not sitting with me. And then he'd shove his way in the seat, and then I'd sit there and punch him, and then I'd get off the bus, and that would be it. And as Maddog got older and started riding the bus, and he'd be like, you shouldn't be hitting my brother. And it's like, shut up, you little shit.
Shut up, you little bastard.
And, I was friends with Maddog first, and I can remember saying to him one time, like, so does your brother just fucking hate me? I'm like, because, I'm not that kind of asshole. He's like, oh, I'm sure he fucking hates you, but, who cares?
Who cares?
He'll still drink beer with you.
That's right.
And, so then I became friends with Rick afterwards. And it was one of those things that I've known those guys. I don't remember a time when I don't know them.
That's funny you say that, because that's crossed my mind too. Like, I don't remember not knowing Maddog, and not knowing Mikey Smith, not knowing, and I know there had to be a lot of life before that, but I was fairly young. I was probably 15 when I met all those guys and became, and really I think I met you more towards after I got out of high school, like 18, 19, and it's just wild. It's wild that somebody that you really, it's I know it's cliche, but it's like your time of coming of age as a person, and you spend so much time with them. And now they're gone. It's weird.
Well, and how many times have you been somewhere and you talk to somebody and they'll be like, "Oh, you're friends with Mark,"
right?
And because he was just a link between everybody.
He was, and it's funny and it's fucked up because he was one of the most antisocial humans you'll ever fucking meet.
Yeah, he didn't like anybody.
He hated everybody. He fucking hated everybody.
But he loved them all at the same time.
As a matter of fact, I think that's where I coined the phrase, because I'm pretty sure he said it. I'm not racist. I hate everyone equally.
Yes. So, but at the same time, he loved everybody. And
yeah,
if you knew him, you also had that same relationship with him. Like, you had plenty to bitch about Mark, but you couldn't help but just love the guy.
Right.
And I don't know why that is.
I've never been able to fucking suss that out.
One of the biggest paradoxes in the world was Maddog, because you couldn't find anybody who didn't hate him.
Like, I remember so much, like he much like, I've done it too. He went to jail. He got picked up for drunk driving. So when he came home, we picked up a fucking cake for him. And we picked up a cake from DQ, an ice cream cake, and it had Tweety Bird on it, and the lady actually drew a cage around the Tweety Bird for us on the fucking cake, and it said, "Welcome home." And he loved that so much. He's like, "You guys are fucking assholes, but I love it." Because I said, "You would have done the same for every one of us," and he says, "You goddamn right I would have."
Yeah, that is true.
Tweety Bird is, from Back to the Future, "Welcome home."
Oh, yeah.
It's how we did that
Uncle
shit.
Joey.
One of the big what ifs of I wonder is, one of the other big strides I remember with Mark was when he started driving truck. And he seemed to love that so much, but then he got sick.
Yeah.
And he couldn't anymore.
I remember when he had a setback driving truck, and he told me, like, I probably won't be able to drive truck anymore. And I'm like, well, why? And he's like, well, a lot of complications from diabetes.
Right.
And he kept pretty quiet about any of those issues up until that point.
Right.
And it was just, here was this guy who was always the life of the party animal, and you could just always count on him to be there for a good time, and he had a chink in his armor.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, wow, really? I had had the same kind of hard time with that, accepting that, and it didn't change him at all. So there shouldn't have been any issue there because it didn't change how he acted, behaved, or was at all. But yeah, it was just kind of like, wow, all right, well, and then you're like, okay, well, let's get together and hang out. We don't have to drink. He's like, the fuck we don't.
That's right.
He was just like,
the beauty of Maddog. All he ever asked for was your time. That's it.
Yeah.
All he ever asked for was your time, and
he would return it tenfold.
Right. But I'm beating myself up, and I'm trying not to. I should have. It is what it is. But all you needed was he'd throw in a fucking dip of chew, hand him a fucking beer, and just a bonfire, and that's all you needed.
Yeah.
That's all you needed.
Yeah. The rest would take care of itself.
Yeah.
And do not beat yourself up because. And he'd be the first to tell you, he's as much to blame for anything.
Yeah.
So don't beat yourself up, but also, it's one of those things where you...
Once again, we've learned a lesson.
Yes. he's taught us something that only dog can teach us, and that's that tomorrow isn't guaranteed.
Tomorrow is not guaranteed.
So, whatever issues you think you have with somebody, anything like that,
or don't delay. If you haven't seen somebody in a while and you love them, just do it.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone even. Just fucking give a call. Give a text. Anything. This is what I've realized in life. I used to be the guy that everybody would, I'd be a texting fiend back and forth. And then I realized that I was always the first one to text people sometimes. And so I stopped. And I sat back. And I wasn't getting as many texts. And I thought about it. And I said, it's become such a thing I do so much that it doesn't seem important. So now when someone texts me, I think to myself, I'm happy. That means they're thinking of me at that moment. So,
yep.
So I think it's beautiful. If somebody will randomly text me, somebody will it could be the most mundane shit. Send me a fucking meme. I don't care. You saw it and thought of me and thought it was funny and thought I'd enjoy it. And that means a lot in life.
Well, and I'm still fairly old school. I still like
you like to call. I know you like to call, yeah.
Mainly because I generally have more to say than what a text can get through.
Mm-hmm.
If I need to discuss something with somebody or I have something that I want to actually, have a conversation about, I can't do it over text. I just can't do it.
And I know that for you. Like, I see if I miss your call and I'm busy, like, I always try to call you back within about 5 minutes because I'm like, all right, we just got some shit to talk about,
And I try not to call people hey, how's your day going?
What are you wearing right now?
Did you polish one off today?
Yeah. What were you thinking about?
I don't...
No, so maybe it's getting older. It's mortality. You realize that... But every time someone texts me out of the blue, I'm happy. It makes me happy because, like I said, it means they're thinking of me. So I try to do that randomly about once a week. I'll scroll through my text chains, find somebody that I enjoy, love, and I'll just randomly send them a text. Like, hey, how you doing today? Just because it means I'm thinking of them,
Right.
So.
And, I that's something that, people probably don't do enough of.
Right.
And sometimes you feel like, I get so many texts, I get so many calls.
Right.
But what else do you have to do with your life?
Exactly.
What is life if you're not partaking in enjoying the people that are around you?
Obviously, if you made it this far into this podcast, you have some spare time.
Yeah.
So send somebody a fucking text.
Yeah. And you have nothing better to do.
That's 100% true.
So stop being a lame ass. Send somebody you care about a text.
Or an email. Yeah, send us an email. Send us an email at pineapplenipplearsehole@gmail.com or pnapodcastexpress@gmail.com.
If you're listening to this, and this will obviously not be the last time that we have a Maddog discussion, because we will still continue the subject. My friend is a dick
and here's why.
And that will include him a lot still. So because there's so many stories.
He will live on for an eternity.
Yeah.
Because of my friend is a dick and here's why segment.
I have almost 30 years of stories of that.
You've got 30 years of him being a dick and here's why.
Yeah. And you do as well.
I do too. I have a lot.
So, And being that he was a constant dick, there's a lot of stories.
It's really kind of what defined him, is being a dick.
Well, he wasn't called Mad Dog just because his initials spell M-A-D,
right,
and his initials were M-D,
right,
and he sometimes partook in Mad Dog 2020.
He loved that shit.
He was his being called Mad Dog was so much more than that. It was him.
It became a lifestyle and a persona.
Although my
sure.
kids called him Angry Puppy.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Or Uncle Dog.
Uncle Dog, Angry Puppy.
Yeah.
It's funny because probably the last, I'd say 3 or 4 years, I just called him Bark Bark. He'd be around, I'm like, hey, Bark Bark. And he'd be like, what?
Well, my oldest had a good point
true, yeah.
a few years ago, and he walked up to Mark and said this, and it kind of shocked me because with him being a college wrestler now and everything, but he's like, he goes, you were my first, he thanked him. He's like, you were my first wrestling coach.
Yeah.
So, his impact was far and wide.
Yeah. And it's going to be great to go to his funeral and see everybody that cared and that whose lives he's affected, whether for the good or whether for the bad. It's going to be awesome. And there's no doubt it's going to be a packed house.
Well, there are already plans for a Mad Dog Fest.
Right.
Mad Dog.
We should have a Mad Dogapalooza.
Yes. there is already plans for that type of an event.
Mad Dogapalooza!
My suggestion is that we have a Halloween party and everybody dresses up like Mad Dog. But
Green Bay Packers shirt, big old dip of chew.
Yeah, some kind of floppy-eared hat.
That's right. Scowl on your face.
Some Youper bullshit.
Yeah, scowl on your face, yeah.
But, yeah, that's kind of my plan. I think it will come to fruition. I think we can put together a hell of a party. I
think we can do that.
We were talking about where we'd have it, and I'm like, we started talking. I said, with all the people that would come to that, we better have that at a hall.
Yeah, of course.
So we're going to have to rent a hall for that.
Okay,
and
I'm down.
I'm down with it. I'm sure we have plenty of people that would kick in to rent the hall.
If not, we got it covered. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. So, but I think that would be a fitting tribute to him. It gives us enough time to get it going. And that son of a bitch loved Halloween.
He did so much.
Yeah. So I think that would be a good thing to do. It won't be an open to the public thing because we got enough people that are going to want to come to it. But I'll never
forget the Halloween when I was dating Kelsey, the hottest probably one I ever dated, and she dressed up like Little Bo Peep, and it was a sexy Little Bo Peep costume, and he enjoyed the hell out of that. He thought that was one of the greatest things he's ever seen.
Oh. And he probably credited you with that, and you had nothing to do with it.
No, she just wanted to look sexy. But God bless, if you're a sexy woman and wanting to look that way, then fuck. But I remember him saying to me, he's like, I'm going to be taking your girlfriend home tonight. I'm like, no, you won't. No, you won't.
And he didn't.
And he didn't. Fantastic.
That was something else we discussed last night, is how awkward it was when Dog was macking on a chick.
Oh God, it was so horrible. It was so fucking horrible. And he had some girlfriends throughout the years.
Yeah, definitely. Some very
nice, pretty girls
that you wondered. I wonder what's wrong with them.
What the fuck are you doing with Mad Dog? Yeah.
But it was always funny, like especially with the band when in his younger years, because he was just 21 when he was hanging out with us.
Right.
And, he just, he would be hitting on a girl, and you'd be like, wow, that is like the strangest game I've ever seen anybody have.
Right.
And it was uncomfortable for everybody else, but it seemed to work some of the time.
I think it was more a mix of horror and intrigue from the young ladies. Like, where is this going?
Yeah. Like, I know this is a train wreck, but I just can't stop watching it.
I must look. I cannot look away.
I got to see where this ends.
What's the end game here? Am I going to be stuffed in an old freezer in a basement somewhere?
It's like an indie film.
That's right.
I'm not enjoying this, and it's very awkward and uncomfortable, but
But I just have a feeling this is going to be award-winning.
Yeah. People are going to be talking about this later, and I want to be a part of it.
Nailed it.
Yeah. That was Mad Dog's love life in a nutshell.
It's true. It's fucking true. Oh, what a guy. What a
He's
fucking
special.
guy. Yeah, he's special.
Can he drink?
Still a fucking great story. Oh, man.
And then him later being like, I think she's into me, but she's being fucking weird. And of course, we had to egg him on.
She mentioned that her dad drives for Sound Like Transportation and probably knows me. Oh, shit. Sorry for that comment there.
No, you're not.
You're right. You're right.
Oh, boy. Well, we're over an hour into this.
Let's get out of here.
And I know it's not long enough, but like I said, this will not be the last.
Oh, there'll be plenty more Mad Dog stories. Don't worry. But
Yes.
this one is the near and dear, and this podcast is dedicated to Mad Dog. We love you, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. And my phone decided to ring.
I like it. It's a sign.
Yeah. But, just if you knew Mad Dog, absolutely please email us.
Yeah. Send us a story.
Yeah.
Particularly send us a story if he was ever a dick to you, which everybody that knew him, he was a dick to them at some point.
Yeah. So send us that. Send us an anecdote, a adventure that you had with Mark, because there were plenty of those as well.
Maybe he plugged up your toilet.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably. And, just don't hesitate to share. This is not a one and done thing.
No.
We've talked about him before in many of our previous episodes throughout this journey to 100, and we will talk about him more in the 3-digit realm
Of course.
of our episodes as well.
Of course.
So we have not even scratched the surfaces on the stories that we have with him.
No, we have not.
So
They come in waves, so it's kind of I had some waves hit me today. I'm like, I need to remember to tell that one.
yeah, I trust me, that's been a and there's some that I will save for later,
Right.
because I probably wouldn't be able to get through them right now.
Yeah, no, I get it. So this episode went how I wanted it to go, because I wanted it to be happy. I want it to be happy. Because I almost had a time or two when I couldn't be happy, but
No,
we got there.
yeah, I didn't want this to be a poor me fest or poor you fest.
Because
or
you know
poor
what? Mad Dog would
fest.
say, you're being a bitch.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Suck it up, assholes."
That's right.
And although, let's face it, he would want us to be miserable.
Yeah, of course. Well, I think he always wanted us to be miserable. Are you fucking kidding me?
So, job well done there, Mark.
Nailed it.
So, all right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this
Play
one
us
up. But like I say, this will not be the last of our Mad Dog tales. Everyone will get to know him very, very well through the rest of our episodes.
Of course. He's Adam Filkins. I'm Phil Nickel. PNA Podcast Express. PNA Podcast Express at gmail.com. Pineapple Nipple Arsehole at gmail.com. Send us emails, especially if you have anything as far as dirt on Mad Dog. Make good choices.